Welcome to another episode of Just Because Live. I'm Chris Nicolason, and today I'm honored to be joined by Torie Giffin of the Buffalo Lodge Bicycle Resort. Torie, you and I have a mutual friend, Daniel Bird, who introduced us together, and he told me that you're just an amazing person, would be great to have on the show to kind of tell your story and what you do. So thanks for taking a chance on us and coming on today.
Thank you. And thanks, Daniel Bird. I had him on my own podcast, Pedal the Springs, a while back, talking about what makes him tick and love cycling in the area. And it was just great to hear about what he does with kids on bikes. It's phenomenal.
Absolutely. And the way, yeah. So Daniel and my law firm, we connected because we actually did bike giveaways for our law firm for kids. And I've never met anybody like that passionate about, like, you should see him like with the children, like just this. He's got a teacher's heart, and the way he talks to him, it was really cool to see.
He is just always a positive person and just a light in Colorado Springs.
I completely agree with you. And so we've had him on, and now we get the chance to chat with you. So if you could tell everybody about your background and, kind of where you came from and how you got here over at the Buffalo Lodge.
Yeah. I came from Phoenix, Arizona, 19 years ago when I had my first child, looking for something a little bit more family friendly, a little slower pace. I worked in the Phoenix television market for Good Morning and Good Evening Arizona as a writer producer, and worked for a large hospital network doing marketing, promotions, community and media relations. And then I had my first baby, and a 40-hour commute to work every day and putting my kid in daycare, just didn't feel right. We got the opportunity to have work out here in the Springs. And next thing you know it, I was had an ironing board, a wheelbarrow, and a cradle on top of my Ford Explorer, driving to Colorado to be a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
So we literally visited Colorado and had an offer on a house. Just visiting the area, had left with an offer on the house. I just loved that there seemed to be a park on every corner, and just the green grass and the mountains. And it just, really called to me from the desert and hubbub of the Phoenix area. And so came out here and just started having, started my family. But in the meantime, I did go back to work and worked at KRDO as a commercial producer, and then had my second child, and got to stay at home for 6 years. And that was when I really fell in love with Colorado Springs, because I would, clean the house in the morning and then load the kids on the bicycle. And I found the Colorado Springs Cycling Club, and they had a Tuesday ride called the Basics Ride. And I would go out with my kids in the trailer and ride with the Colorado Springs Cycling Club, just exploring all the parks and great spaces here. And then I'd rush home, make dinner, and it was awesome. And then I started teaching spin classes at the downtown YMCA. It's kind of like a little side gig, and just really loved the cycling and just became a real fanatic about that time. And then third kid, and pulling 3 kids behind on a bike, and we didn't have a lot of money, and so my bike was my transportation for a grocery store, bank, and all that, and just really learned the trails here. And then when I went back to work, I was looking for a way to kind of have a part-time something, and not be fully back in. And Chick-fil-A at Garden of the Gods was just opening up, and they had a job for a marketing person.
Okay.
And Chick-fil-A, like I didn't know much about the organization other than they had a really great playland where you could stick your kids in the room, and they were on the other side of a soundproof glass. That was pretty awesome. You could carry on adult conversations. But I applied for the job at Chick-fil-A, and they loved that I was at the time leading a free moms walking club. For 6 years. I led a mom's walking club while I was a stay-at-home mom through Monument Valley Park, and they loved that I taught at the Y, and I had a lot of great community connections. So they hired me to be, community relations for them. And The job could have been putting up, point of purchase signs and hosting
Yeah.
birthdays with the cow, but the owners were really, really willing to let me kind of explore, my ideas and talents. And next thing you knew it, I was starting a free breakfast bike ride at the Chick-fil-A that grew over 6 years from 8 people to 130 people that would show up every
Holy
Saturday morning during the summer to go on a bike ride that I led and have free chicken sandwich for breakfast afterwards. And
wow.
I organized a Ride for Heroes that was pretty well known for 4 years. We had the Chick-fil-A Ride for Heroes and Patriots Festival, which was a big community event that gave back to local police, fire, and military charities around September 11th. And so our Saturday rides would kind of feed in a group of ambassadors that would get excited for the ride and do that. And so I was kind of live, eat, breathe, cycling, really building up a cycling community here between my Chick-fil-A rides and the Colorado Springs Cycling Club. And I was going to all the meetings in the city about, the plans for Walk, Bike, Connect, connecting our trails, and meetings that the city was having about becoming a top bicycle friendly city and state. And what the plans were to put us on the map, as a top bicycle friendly destination. And so from there, basically, I ended up having a dream, 2 nights in a row that was so vivid. And it was this idea for a hotel for bicyclists that would cater to the needs of cycling tourists. And, were there other hotels out there that were bicycle friendly hotels? Like, surely I'm not the first person to think
Right.
of this.
Right.
And I started doing some quick research, and there was only the Whitefish Bike Retreat in Montana for mountain bikers that were campsites and a converted barn, and you could go mountain biking in Whitefish. But there really wasn't anything else other than some hostels along the transcontinental bike route
Okay.
that were bicycle themed. And then I found out that bicycle tourism and bicycle friendly hotels was huge in Europe. Like, you can get a rating as to how bicycle friendly your hotel was. So you have bike washing stations, safe bike storage, you're doing bike tours and things like that. And there's like a chain of 30 hotels that are all like bicycle friendly. And, people bike so much more in other countries, and so I'm like, well, surely if it can be big in other, countries, it could be big here. And certainly in Colorado Springs, where we're working to be a more bicycle friendly city. And so I started putting together like my wedding book of like ideas of what a bicycle hotel would look like. Thank you, Pinterest, for every idea that we can all steal.
Right.
But so I started putting together a book of what a bicycle hotel would look like, and it was just an idea. And I'm on low power mode. I'm going to get a charger here in a minute, but
Absolutely.
so I might take you on a tour while I go find a charger.
Yes. That'd be great.
But so I put together like a little, it's like when you're 16 and you're building a wedding album of what your dream wedding will be. That's kind of where I was at. Like, I'm not married yet. I don't have any prospects, but I'm building the album for my dream wedding. And so I was building the album for my dream hotel. And I started shopping it around to people like Carrie Simonson, who was the publisher of the Independent newspaper at the time. And she had just really gotten into bicycling. And, she was like, it's a great idea. Like, and she started giving me contacts of other business owners that I could talk to about how to start a business and how they did theirs, like Todd Baldwin at Red Leg and Johnny Nolan. And, she said, talk to Alan Beauchamp who's now with the Bike Colorado Springs and Trails and Open Space. He's known as being like Mr. Bicycle Colorado, who is the then publisher of the of the business journal, and
Hmm.
she's opening up the Antlers and the mining exchange and talk to this person. And and so I talked from one person to another person, sharing my idea, and these other business owners that just gave me the time of day, to share their experiences with me and their wisdom, really made me believe that I could do it.
Nice.
But while I was, yeah, I mean, it was incredible how generous people were, with
Right.
their networks and their contacts. And so then, it's still just an idea, but I was doing scouting a route for the new a new Ride for Heroes route for my Ride for
Okay.
Heroes. I was
Uh-huh.
scouting a route through Garden of the Gods, and I came down El Paso Boulevard, and I came upon the Buffalo Lodge, and I was like, "What's up? Like, what's up with that place?" Like, I literally had a flat tire on my bicycle at the Buffalo Lodge a decade before I had this idea for a bicycle hotel.
Wow.
And I had sat on a park bench out by a lamppost at the main office waiting for a ride because I couldn't take my own back tire off at the time.
Oh, wow.
And so I remembered having the flat here, and, remembered I thought it was a really cool place and having like a connection to it. But next thing you know, I'm driving through the Buffalo Lodge, and I swear it was just like my dream. It looked like a little village. All the rooms are facing each other. It's all single level. I'm driving down the road. I'm like, you could ride your bike right in the room and hang it on the wall.
Oh,
And
wow.
then I came around the back of the property, and there's this huge pavilion, outdoor pavilion, yard, meeting space, event space. That there's a swimming pool. And I pulled back up to the front, and I have no idea, what, prompted me to get out of my car and walk
Right.
into the lodge and say, "Hey, my name's Torie. And if you ever decide to sell this place, will you give me a call?"
Right. Right.
I mean, at the time I had no health insurance, no money, no savings in the bank. We're living paycheck to paycheck because I got 3 kids. I'm working a part-time job at Chick-fil-A.
Right.
I'm having fun in my job, but I'm all of a sudden asking if the Buffalo Lodge is for sale. And the guy looks at me and he says, "It's for sale now."
Oh my
And
gosh.
I just started crying. I just started crying. I was like, he's, and I mean, like, to me, it was like, I'm just kind of poking around. And
Yeah.
then I'm walking into this place that I had a flat tire at, and they're like, "It's for sale. And this is an idea for the future."
Yeah.
And he proceeds to tell me about how it's for sale for $1.4 million, and they'll
Ah,
take 1.2, and all the problems, and that they're constantly having to fix stuff and how much work it is. And all
right.
I heard was for sale. And I said to him, "I don't know how, but I'm going to buy your place." And I walked out, and I called my husband at the time and said, "Oh my gosh, my dream, the bicycle hotel, like the
Right.
Buffalo Lodge is for sale, 1.4, they'll take 1.2." And he's like, "Slow down. Have you been in a bike accident?" I'm like, "No, the Buffalo Lodge is for sale. They said it's 1.4, but they'll take 1.2." And he's like, "What does that have to do with us?" Like I said, we're living paycheck to paycheck, and
Right.
and I'm telling him about a $1.4 million property for sale.
Hmm.
And he's like, "Your family's at home cleaning the house. You should come join us."
Oh,
But even as a stay-at-home mom, I was always trying to come up with like entrepreneur ideas and stuff for, starting my own business. I think I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit,
hmm.
just from creating community through, bike rides and community events, and, just always made every job I had into 10 times the job that it should have been, because I always have these great ideas and stuff. And so I called my mother, and after that, and she thought it sounded fantastic. So,
That's
and
awesome.
so my husband at the time said, well, I think it sounds like a good idea, but we don't have any money, and you can't spend a dime of our own money pursuing this.
Right.
And that was the challenge, is that I have a dream. I now have I have this hotel I want to buy
Right.
to make it the bicycle resort. And where do I go find the money to get it? And so that was kind of how it all started, was, this dream for a hotel that would cater to bicyclists. And, how do I find the money? And that's a really interesting story too.
Wow. Okay, Torie. So what I'm going to do too is I'm going to have you check your battery and make sure we're good there. And then if you need to get up and get a charge.
Let's walk and go find a battery here.
Perfect. That is excellent.
I'll show you the lodge a little bit while we walk in.
Perfect. That'd be
on my way
great.
here. So I now live above the Buffalo Lodge.
Okay.
There.
Oh,
So
that's
I don't know
awesome.
if you can see my finger. I live in the house above the lodge. There's the lodge. We have bike racks and stuff for the guests to cruise around on bikes around the property. There's my dog. I don't know if you can see the dog upstairs, but the dog's peeking.
There we go. Yep. Yes, you can. Oh, that is awesome.
So the Buffalo Lodge is actually 47 rooms on 4 acres, right next to Garden of the Gods. We're just right outside the Academy riding stables, less than a mile from the trading post. We literally have 3 entrances to the garden, all within a mile of the lodge. And so it makes it a great spot for biking, because we can just head right out of the lodge and you're in the garden in less than a mile.
Right.
They're also doing a lot of work in the area to connect all those bike trails that I was talking about.
Right.
So we have a brand new trailhead right at Adams Crossing. We're located right between Old Colorado City and Manitou Springs, just on the Colorado Springs side. So I'm gonna go find a cord real quick.
Absolutely.
This is the lot. This is the entrance and the lodge. So we have a watering hole where we serve Colorado craft beer, wine, and moonshine, and other spirits. We carry Distillery 291. We carry Red Leg beer, because Todd Baldwin helped me out when I was trying to dream my dream. It's Natalie there. Hi, Natalie. Natalie, could you help me? My phone is on low power. Do you know where an iPod charging cord is for the little? She's going to help me here.
Perfect.
We have a cool old fireplace, ping pong.
And then
Natalie, she's got the cord.
Perfect. Torie, do you all serve food there as well, outside of drinks?
We just had some people who love the lodge just donated an outdoor pizza oven to us.
Oh, wow.
And so we're now serving some pizzas, and then we just have snacks and things in the lodge. I'll take you out to the front here real quick.
Oh, that's awesome.
Before I plug in, maybe I'll just show you a couple rooms if you would like to see them.
Oh, that'd be great.
So this
Absolutely.
is kind of our front fire pit area. This is the let's see. This is the front of the lodge. We got the little bicycle up on top. That neon light is one of my favorite things.
That is great.
It lights up at night, and it's just iconic and beautiful. Although the neighborhood, before I got the place, they called it the Buffalo. They called it the Buffalolo because the DGE was always burned out.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I never let the lights stay burned out at all. So
right.
We have our new wood burning pizza oven here, and there's the lodge. Nice little gardens up front. We've kind of added a lot of bicycle theme to everything. I won't walk too far from the lodge. Like our rooms, we have entire cottages where whole families can stay. Like this suite right here has a king bed, a bunk bed room with 4 bunk beds for kids, European micro kitchen. And So we even have like a house on property that sleeps up to 10 people.
Wow.
And then we just have like single rooms. I'll show you. Do you want to see a room real quick before
Please,
I charge up?
that would be great.
Okay. So,
Torie, congratulations! You're the first person to give me the walking tour. So I couldn't even get Daniel to kind of give me a tour of the bike shop. I think we did it from his house. So this is awesome.
if I
Torie, can you hear me okay?
You know what? So I'm probably not going to be able to show the rooms because my reception started going out as soon as I walked away.
Gotcha. That's okay. Excellent. I'll post a link to your site.
People can go on bicycleresort.com to find out more about the lodge.
Well, that's great. And I'm going to post it in the comments as well.
Thank you. Okay. We're getting charged.
All right. So I've got some questions for you because it's interesting. I actually used to work at the ABC affiliate back in Las Vegas. I have my undergrad in communications, and so I'm a big fan of TV and TV production. And so it's one of those things, though. But you started out in TV as a producer. When did you find your love for cycling?
Actually, it was working for a TV station in Phoenix that had a bike team that every year they would participate in the MS 150 bike ride together. And so I'm almost plugged in. Hold on.
You're good. Absolutely.
So close. Is it charging? Sorry.
No, you're totally okay.
I hope I'm charging. I'm charging. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So, so the TV station I worked at in Phoenix had a bike team, and just in doing stories about the bike team, going out and riding the MS 150, I was like, that looks like fun, like bike riding, beers, massages, bands, and things like that. And so next thing you know it, I was going from doing a story about the bike team to joining their bike team.
Oh, that's great.
And next thing you know, I was actually captaining the TV station bike team for 4 years and leading all the Saturday rides and things like that. So, it's no surprise that I moved to Colorado and started leading rides.
Right. And Torie, it's interesting. I've had some people on recently where the one thing, and I'm seeing the same trait in you, is there's a passion in what you do. And it just exudes like out of you, like listening to you talk about cycling, listening to you talk about the Buffalo Lodge. So where does that come from within you? That just pure like joy and passion that you've got inside you.
Well, I would say God first, but definitely just a joy for life and a gratefulness for all things good and just a genuine love for people. I love everybody, and I will find that thing that there is to love about you and love that. I love people, and I think that's what we need more of in the world is people who just love and accept people and focus on the great things and just have more patience for people and kindness, and we're all in this boat together. Everybody has a story, everybody's got their struggles, you never know what they are. And my son, who's now 13, at 11 years old, got brain cancer. And in a year and a half, he's had 5 brain surgeries and 38 days of radiation. And he said, in an interview, you can find his story on the Gazette at The Amazing Grace of Daniel Giffin, a Colorado Springs boy with cancer. There's a great video on the Gazette about him and how he gets through having brain cancer, and just kind of he chooses joy, and that you can choose to be sad and depressed, or you can, choose to find the joy and be a light and give other people hope. And I just
True.
think that runs in our family. My mom's a very vivacious, outgoing woman who we used to always just call her the mayor of whatever town we were in, because
Right.
she would always walk by and say hi and chat up she wouldn't stand next to you in a grocery store line and not chat you up, and so,
Oh, wow.
my mom just was always such a big loving heart, who, didn't focus on the hard things that she went
Yeah.
through. And I think that just was handed down.
Interesting. Okay. And then I want to ask you too. So we talked a little bit beforehand on like who's the show geared towards, and and you mentioned actually kind of your entrepreneurial mindset, your ability. So I think it's almost even like an ability to take risks, to jump and know that things will ultimately work out. And it's something that I talk to people about quite a bit too, is how was that for you? Kind of, you had this dream about this place, then you find the lodge, and then you're like, I need 1.2, and we're going to figure out how it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. You look at the prior owner and you're like, I am going to buy this place. And so what would you say to people that are out there trying to like start a business and maybe just trying to have that perfect plan together to get a business started? What would you say to them?
Well, it was far from a perfect plan. It was far from a perfect plan, but it was really just, I think you have to have a passion for whatever you're doing. And if you don't, there's so many opportunities out there. We need people that work, the jobs that are tough and maybe, don't have a lot of joy. And if you do that, then hopefully you have great hobbies. But I think that is the key to happiness too, is finding a job that you love and being able to do what you love, because we spend so much time at work. But I knew that if I got the hotel, that I would do anything to make it work, and that I wasn't going to give up. And we had one, it was finding money, and then even having my major investor back out at the last minute. 6 late closings, and the SBA was all locked up, and they were behind, and if they didn't fund within a certain amount of time, we weren't going to get the loan in time to actually have enough of the summer to operate, to believe that we'd have enough money to get through.
Torie, you still there? Okay. Okay, we'll give her one more second. Okay, so we're having some technical difficulties with Torie's connection right now, but I do want to thank Torie for coming on. I know Torie had told me we had talked previously about, or prior to the show, about her favorite place in Colorado, which is one of my closing questions. And she said it's by far Garden of the Gods. Oh, there we go. I think, do we have you back? Let me check real quick. Torie, can you hear me?
There we go. Kind of this whole. Can you hear me?
Yep, there we go. We got you back. Excellent. Okay, perfect.
Thank you. I was calling Natalie to help.
Nope, you're good. Okay.
All right. Sorry that you almost lost me.
It's okay.
It asked me if it wanted a cellular, and I tapped the screen yes, and I guess that wasn't a good idea.
Okay.
So, I forgot where I was at completely, other than that, I just had this can-do, like nobody could convince me that this wasn't going to happen. I would take my bike ride groups around. All of my rides, once I had the Buffalo Lodge dream, I would take my bike groups and we'd ride around the Buffalo Lodge, and I would tell them how I was going to buy this one day, and they would just roll their eyes. Like,
it's so awesome. Like, I love your passion and just your determination. It's great.
I think, I really had sight of this in the beginning, and I have to always remind myself of it, is that you have to focus on what you want and
Hmm.
not what you don't want.
Right.
That you visualize the things that you want and not the thing. You don't give any time, space, or anything to, the things that you don't want. It's like when you're mountain biking,
Yeah.
and if you look at the rock that you don't want to hit,
Uh-huh.
if you look at the rock that you don't want to hit, you're going to hit the rock. You have
True.
to look at where you
True.
want to go
Right.
to get around
Absolutely.
that rock.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's it. You got to focus on what you want and don't give up. So the other thing was, to me, what I love about Colorado Springs so much is that it's just enough of a size community where you can know run into people at restaurants, in the grocery store, out on the hiking trails.
Yeah.
It's the kind of community where people will let you in if you just start showing up at, like, the different networking events and things like that, or
Uh-huh.
different group meetings in town, whether it be a business networking group or the lodging associations, tourists. If you show up for the different events, it's pretty easy to, meet some pretty influential people in town. Also, if you're having a business dream, like going to small business development center.
Oh, nice. Yes. Tori, can you hear me okay? All right. I think Tori is frozen again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her out and we'll close up. Okay. So Tori said, though, that Garden of the Gods by far is her favorite place in Colorado. She told me then, too, whenever I asked her what her dream job was, that actually doing what she's doing, and I think you can tell just by the way that she's talking about it, that running the Buffalo Lodge is hands down her dream. She actually had a dream about it, made that dream happen, and it is pretty incredible. And the one thing, too, she wanted to relay, like on a positive note, is to go through and live like a tourist here in Colorado, in the sense that, as the last word, but in the sense of, we have so many things out here like zip lining, we've got the, where you can go and kayak and do all of these things. The question is, and there's tourists that come all from out of state to go and do this. So the question is are we actually taking advantage of the beauty that we have here in Colorado? And so, Tori, thank you so much for that. Thanks for coming on the show today. We really appreciate it. The link to the bicycle resort is in the comments section. And so we appreciate everyone coming on. Appreciate my friend Mitch Jackson coming on to watch the show today. Hope everybody has a great day, and we will talk to you all later.